anyone in the kitchen?
Do you mind if I sit here? Right.
Yeah, actually, could you take those ones, not the ones right in front, otherwise you'll
Shall I
just
take them off, yeah?
Yeah, otherwise you'll just
put
hit
them
the,
here.
yeah, otherwise you'll just hit the check.
Working from home, you just need some people to share. Up there goes the other side.
Yeah, I've got a view of the slides. Okay, welcome. Thank you all for joining us again. As you can clearly see, we are on a new menu this evening. So do please forgive us if only little quirks or glitches as we go through tonight. Can you all hear me in the back there, okay? Yeah? Excellent. Can you all hear me over there, okay? Yeah. Cool. Okay, so format for tonight, if you've not been to the WordPress London meetup, is for this evening it's going to be 2 speakers. So I'm going to run through a bit of housekeeping, we're going to go through the community announcements, and then we're going to have our 2 speakers of the evening. Can I just ask that when the speakers are giving their talks, if you could just respect and hold any questions to the end unless they invite you to ask any questions. Could I just ask that your mobile phones, including mine to the back there, Leo, are on silent, please? Again, just out of respect for the speakers. We do have Wi-Fi. If you need to get connected, password is #SaveTheInternet, all in lowercase. Okay, just out of interest, who's here for the first time this evening? Excellent, well welcome. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I hope you're able to take away something from this. We do meet the last Thursday of every month. This will be our new venue going forward. There will be myself and some of the others wandering around taking photographs this evening. If you don't want to be included in any of those photographs, if you could either let myself or Paul, stood at the back there, waving his hand, just let one of us know and we'll make sure that we don't include you in any photos that are shared publicly. So your hosts this evening, myself and Amy, as I just mentioned, Paul Smart at the back there, and Diane, who isn't currently with us, but she may be joining us shortly. So if you have any questions, any feedback, any thoughts, any ideas, do come and chat with one of us. We're always looking to evolve and develop these events and grow them into something appropriate for us as a community. I just want to give a quick mention to WP&UP. WP&UP is a charity that supports and promotes positive mental health within our community. It's enabling us to have these kinds of events. There are a couple of t-shirts and bits and pieces back there along with the other sponsors' swag, so please do feel free to help yourselves. I just want to give our sponsors a quick mention. Green Geeks, fast, scalable and eco-friendly hosting. For every ampage they take from the grid, they invest 3 times the amount back into the grid using renewable energy forms. Plesk, the power to simplify, build and secure your web apps and websites. Simplify the life of sysadmins and SMBs. And web hosting. Web hosting crafted with care. SiteGround, providing hosting services crafted for top speed and security with 24/7 expert support. And a digital experience platform built for growth, WP Engine. And finally, the WordPress multilingual plugin, Weplot, translate and display your website in different languages. Just also want to say a big thank you to our venue this evening. Follow the emergency procedures out. Just to familiarise yourselves with it, we have to this end non-gender specific. There is Jenga and ping pong and stuff that you can feel free to use later on. We've also got the kitchen. I'm sure most of you have visited so far already. Please feel free. We will have a break between speakers. If there's any pizza or any drinks left, feel free to go and help yourself, or equally have a little game of table tennis. I just want to say a quick thank you to our supporters, Blue37, Paul, Smart and Sotic for enabling some of the things that we're doing this evening, such as Leo back there live streaming the events for us. Hello out there on the live stream. Again, if you don't want to be featured on the live stream, I'd suggest avoiding this man over here. Stay over this side.
Forever. Avoid me
forever, yes. Okay, so this evening, as I mentioned, we've got two speakers. So Vito is going to be talking to us about the challenges of managing multiple clients while scaling. And Josh, where are you? Just it. Josh is going to be having a look at both good and bad programming principles. But before we get into that, just going through community announcements. For those of you that have not been before, these are just an opportunity, if you're aware of anything that's going on in and around the community, just an opportunity to stick your hand up and let us know. Maybe you're hiring, maybe you're looking to be hired, maybe you're aware of some events that are going on. They don't necessarily have to be specific to WordPress, so they could be related to the open source community, maybe the PHP community. So if anybody has anything at all they want to share with us, then feel free to stick your hand up and let us know. Nobody's hiring? Okay, well, I think that might be a first one. Ooh, there's a tentative, yeah.
Yeah. We are still looking for a senior developer. I have mentioned it a few months ago. Really cool, small digital agency based in Bedford in Hertfordshire. So if you fancy not commuting into London, we're a good place to work.
Excellent. Any other community announcements? No? Okay, well, I've got a couple I'm just going to quickly run through. WordCamp Brighton. So WordCamp Brighton is coming from the 16th to the 18th of August. Again, just out of interest, who here has been to a WordCamp before? A little under half the room? Okay. Well, for those of you that didn't just put your hand up, I'd really recommend having a conversation with one of the people that just had their hand up just then. Because a WordCamp is a really great opportunity. It's similar to this, but on a much larger scale. We have a range of tracks, so you've got multiple talks going on, you've got the hallway track, you've got lots of socials going on. It's a really great way to connect with the community. Lots of educational stuff, lots of networking. Best of all, I mean, this one here, so that was the 16th to the 18th of August down in Brighton, so it's a 3-day tech conference at a outstanding price of £35 a ticket. They are supported by the community, run by volunteers, so the tickets are kept down, the prices are kept very low to ensure that as many people as possible are able to attend these events. So again, recommend getting along, take a look. If you visit 2019.brighton.wordcamp.org, you'll get Brighton WordCamp details specifically. If you just head over to wordcamp.org, you'll find all the WordCamps that are happening globally, and there are quite a few. I just want to give the UK Slack community a quick mention. This is where a lot of these WordCamps and meetups are organised. So if you're not part of this community, again, recommend heading over to WP/Slack.uk, drop your email address in, and you'll get an invite into that community team. There's a little over 1,000, maybe 1,100 members in there right now. Again, discussing all sorts of aspects of WordPress. So if you have some great conversations here this evening and you want to continue those conversations on, then this is definitely a place to head to. Okay, I mentioned WordCamp Brighton. I'm going to mention this set of WordCamp. WordCamp EU, WordCamp Europe. Happened just a few days ago, I can't remember when it was now. Again, out of interest, who was at WordCamp Europe? Excellent. Who had a fantastic time at WordCamp Europe? Does anybody want to come up here and just share a minute or two of their experience at WordCamp Europe? Yeah.
Make sure you stay for a month before you go.
Thank you, Dan. My name is Leo. As Dan said, as well as doing the streaming, this was my first WordCamp Europe. Did we sleep? Yes, we did. Paul, we did. It's absolutely excellent. The opportunity to meet people and to socialise and to listen to people who've got experience in some of the stuff that you're doing people that are going in different directions, finding out what people are doing. It was absolutely excellent. What was really great about it also was just the talks that were on were superb. You had a chance to meet some really high-level people, including Diane, who's going to be quiet now. It was just great. I'd say there's two things you get out of it. One, as we said, about the actual meeting of people and listening to what they're doing, and two is the opportunity to see these other things. I know they sound similar, but I'd say that you get as much done walking the venue and meeting people in the corridor than you actually get done in the actual the talks. So it was just excellent in that respect.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you were talking about the hallway track there. It's my personal favourite. It's just simply wandering around and the connections that you make are just incredible. Anybody else want to share us something from WordCamp.eu? Any other positive experiences? No? Well, I know we're going to be hearing from Vito shortly, who's also at Edge Europe. So,
I have a bit about it.
in your yes. I'm just going to quickly run through a couple of things. This was a photo taken from the back of the people who were there just for the contributor day. So we had, it was around 400 people. So WordCamp Europe is a 3-day event, as a number of WordCamps are. The first day at this WordCamp was a contributor day. So a day specifically set aside for people to be able to join various teams and contribute back to WordPress. There are many, many ways to contribute to WordPress. You do not have to be a developer. You do not need to understand code to be able to contribute to WordPress. Many of these people here are contributing in different ways, whether that's through the polyglots, maybe they're multilingual, able to translate various strings of WordPress. We've got people supporting documentation, we've got people in support, we've got people working on the marketing team, the TV team. So there are lots and lots of ways to be able to contribute. And this was just a fantastic day. This was just the first of the 3 days. There was the exhibition, one of the largest exhibitions to date in a WordCamp, held at WordCamp Europe. I'm not sure how many sponsors we had at the event, but there was a lot, and there was so much swag. If you want to make sure you've got a suitcase just for your swag to go home with. Again, really great opportunity. Just wander around and chat with the companies that we purchase services from, to bring feedback and understanding. Maybe you want to find out about services that are upcoming. There was really great opportunities to go to meet and greet. We had the likes of Google, Amazon, PayPal, some of the larger companies that we don't often see at some of the smaller WordCamps in attendance. So again, really good opportunities to be able to have these conversations. And not just represented by big companies by any means. A lot of smaller companies, we had, I think it was 150 small business stands as well across the event. So again, great opportunity for great representation within our community. Something new was tried at WordCamp Europe this year for the first time. We have what's called the WP Cafe. There was a couple of other things that went on as well. WP Cafe was an area where people could, prior to the event, register their intention to come along and just share a bit and have more of an interactive discussion as opposed to the more traditional kind of talk. So there was 3 tracks that were running at Europe as usual. There was also the WP Cafe. There was also a wellness session. So we had individuals that were running yoga sessions, mindful sessions. There was lots of new initiatives within Europe this year, and we hope to see some of these new initiatives come through at further WordCamps as we go forward. Some of the teams. This is the Codable crew. The team, they are the Codable crew. There were huge representation from companies this year. A number of companies had 20, 30, 40 members of staff all in attendance, which was fantastic to see. And then this lot just blew it out of the water, turning up with, I think it was 120 of their team, their crew, all in their t-shirts. And when this photo was taken, the noise was incredible. Of course, we have Matt Mullenweg, one of the co-founders of WordPress, giving his summer update, which was a bit of an expansion upon his State of the Word, which he gave at WordCamp US in 2018. Again, Matt very graciously gave some time on both the Saturday and the Sunday for people to schedule meetings with him and sit down and have a one-to-one conversation. And that was, when you're talking about an individual that's running a company of this size, when you're talking about an individual that has the responsibility of, that he does, both automatic and across the WordPress project, that really is very valuable to have that opportunity. And he's listening to the community, so it's a great opportunity to be able to have that time with him. And I've got to give our little corner a mention. We threw Nathan in a corner. Nathan Wrigley runs our podcasts for WP&UP. If you've not heard it, the Press Forward podcast, head over to WP&UP.org. Nathan was, bless him, stuck there all weekend. I think he did a total of, I think it was around 14, 15 podcasts in the time that he was stuck in his little corner there. But again, a great opportunity to be able to meet a number of individuals. We've got, so this is Josefa that he's speaking to here at the moment, who's working on marketing, WordPress marketing team, and a number of other individuals. All those podcasts will be coming out shortly. But he unfortunately didn't get to see much of the WordCamp himself, but he had a lot of fun. In fact, I think, Vito, you were also on one of the podcasts. Yes. And then it came to an end, and all 3,000 or 2,700 people poured out the doors all at the same time, and straight into an after party. And that after party was an 80s themed after party. If you've ever wanted to see what a predominantly quite an group of introverts, individuals, all having a blast, dressing up as 80s, this is the place. It was a good time. There was a couple of hiccups in relation to the after party, but the WordCamp Europe team have done a great job writing about that and explaining some of the issues post the event. But as an attendee on the whole, absolutely brilliant. And then, of course, afterwards, we also got a little bit of time just to experience Berlin. And what a city. We, as a team, the WP&UP team, we all jumped on a boat and spent 3.5 hours just wonderfully drifting around the city. It's, yeah, very different city. We then obviously had to head back and come back to you, lovely lot. So it was a fantastic opportunity to head over there, and we're going to be doing it all over again next year. 2020 is going to be happening in Porto, in Portugal. So that is the 4th to the 6th of June 2020. If you do have an opportunity, I really recommend taking a look. The website at the moment is open for organisers, so if you are potentially interested in getting involved in organising an event such as this, then head over to 2020.europe.wordcamp.org and you can put in your application to become an organiser. The event itself, as I said, was around 2,730, I think, attendees. I think 97 countries represented by attendees. So a huge scale event, and just lots of WordPress, lots of community, lots of really positive stuff throughout the weekend. Before I wrap up, does anybody else have anything they want to add on Europe at all? Any positive experiences? Diane, anything you want to share? Just put you on the spot there. So for those of you, Diane is also one of our co-hosts this evening, so again, if you have any questions.
Hi, yes. So WordCamp Europe was just, I think, overwhelmingly positive experience. It was a chance to meet old friends that you've met at different WordCamps before, but also new friends, and also people that you may have been in contact with for ages, you know, online, through Twitter or whatever, and meet them in person. So I think for me, that's the main thing, is reconnecting with old friends, making new friends, and there's just such a feeling of camaraderie in WordCamps in general, but you know, this WordCamp Europe was just, there was just something in the air, really, wasn't there? I think that a lot was involved as well, so that, but yeah, definitely recommended. If you can get to WordCamp Europe next year, I would say really, really go. It's such a positive experience.
Thank you. Okay, so that's it from me now, from me even. I'm now going to introduce you to Vito. So Vito joins us from WP Feedback tonight. I'm just going to going to quickly change over machines. So Vito joins us from WP Feedback. We'll give you some more information on himself in a moment. He's going to be giving his talk, Managing Multiple Clients. In fact, actually, Vito, the title has changed, doesn't it?
Yeah. The title? As I was working on it, it's now Scaling the WordPress Business.
Scaling a WordPress Business. So obviously very related. So we are, as I mentioned, we're in a new venue, so things are a little bit different over at the desk here. So you just have to give us a moment while we get things set up. Does anybody plan to be attending WordCamp Europe in 2020? Excellent. Fantastic. Does anybody intend on organising or applying to organise? Everybody's sitting on their hands. We've also got to have a conversation about WordCamp London at some point. Yeah.
One thing that I found very useful about going to WordCamp Europe, is, especially since it was my first time, is to know some of the people that were going. So I know that can be quite daunting. We're going to another country, and it's an event, and there's a lot of these things that you just don't get until you've been there. So it was very, very useful. If you're not in the UK Slack group, please join. There's still, you'll see the messages of the trail end of what happened at WordCamp Europe. That will give you an idea of how a lot of people helped other people finding venues or finding hotels, etc., right up, or, you know, especially if you're travelling and you're going, I'm the only one, I'm now going to be the only one here on my own. And literally on the plane you are meeting people, and it starts there.
Excellent, thank you. So, as we said, Vito is going to be talking about scaling a WordPress business. So, please give Vito a big round of applause.
So I'm kind of excited because this is going to be my first official talk in front of the community. I've done this kind of stuff before, but this is the first time that I'm actually standing in front of my peers and sharing my journey and basically what I've been up to for the past 12 years since I started working with WordPress. So it kind of seems like we collaborated on this, Dan, but go to WordCamps. This was incredible experience for me. What I did in those 3 days would have taken me literally 3 years to accomplish. Finding the stand and go there, and then go there. Yeah, that's it's like
just not all the way.
Move all the way.
No.
You gotta feel the room. Leo.
No.
So I'm just gonna walk around whatever is gonna be on the camera. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, where was I? So I went to WordCamp just with the idea of hanging out and meeting some people that I use their products for years, hopefully to promote a little bit of my brand new product right now. And it was just overwhelming. I created like a full list of people that I wanted to meet, that I was hoping to meet, and I actually scratched the entire list. And the guys that were with me there would know that I ran from one place to another, and I didn't really stop, to the point that I couldn't really walk anymore by the end of it, literally. When I got back to the UK, I went to the ER, and right now you see me limping a little bit, so just don't confuse me with this guy. Just gonna bear with me on this one. Right, so this is what we're going to cover. There's going to be a few things that I want to talk about, but the idea is basically taking you through the journey of the evolution of a WordPress business as I see it, and as I've experienced, especially after that last weekend, in talking to the top people within our ecosystem and seeing what their journeys were, and just listening to them and seeing like what kind of got them to become the top people within the industry. Another thing that kind of inspired this presentation is this little booklet that I see that some of you have already found over there on the table. So as part of the beta group for my own product, we surveyed 600 WordPress professionals from mostly English-speaking countries, but all over the world. Half of them freelancers, half of them agencies, with the notion of understanding how they run their WordPress business, basically to see if my products make sense, and it's not just in my head. But also to see, to use this, it was so interesting that I decided to print it out and release it back to the community as a way that hopefully will help other people benchmark their own businesses and see how other people are doing compared to them. So check it out. Right after there's a bunch of them. I gave away 500 of these at the event over the weekend, but I have a few left, so I brought them right here. Right, so this is what we're going to cover. The pillars of growing a WP business, the recipe for scale, leveraging what you know, the power of you, workday of the king or queen, you know. And then we have a bonus round where we're going to talk about what you can do today to start moving forward with your business and the natural evolution of a WordPress business. So basically this is the structure of what we're going to be discussing. And the way I see it, this is the overview of what we need to kind of worry about and what we need to look into when we're trying to scale, when we're trying to manage a bigger team than what we have right now. We're going to go through each one of them, but just to show you kind of a quick overview of how that looks. Right, so just a little bit about me so you know that, so that you know if I know what I'm talking about. So I'm Vito, I'm the founder of WP Feedback, and I actually started building websites when I was 14 years old, using GeoCities, if anyone remembers. So it was like basically for my skateboarding crew. Yeah, you know this one, right? So when I was 14, I was like skateboarding. I wasn't limping back then, and that was the first website that kind of like taught myself HTML, and just scrapped something on there. From then on, I also discovered music, and I built websites for all the bands that I had since then. That was my real passion for about 10 years, starting that point, and that was kind of my dream to become a rock star. And that actually what brought me here to the UK. We got signed with my band that I had at the time, and it allowed us to move from Tel Aviv, where I'm originally from, and to come to the UK with my friends from high school, and to start touring the world. We released 2 albums worldwide, and we actually did pretty well. We started really, really small with like 10, 15 people at the show, and then we started growing. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to show you are the stuff that we apply for the band itself, because I've always looked at it as a business, as every artist should. And we started with 10 people, then we got to a few hundred people, then we got to a few thousand people, then we became 30, and the band broke up, right? But basically, this is how it looked, and it was a lot more than what we kind of expected this to be. We released 2 albums worldwide, and basically applied to the band. So the same thing that I showed you before was the same principles that we applied to this. 4 guys from the middle of nowhere in Israel coming to the UK, starting to tour the world, releasing albums, selling thousands of albums, and playing to thousands of people. But we were still dead broke. So that's the problem with the music business. So what I did while I was in the van, I reignited my love and my passion for the web, and I started building websites for clients, just from the back of the van, literally. Stopping at McDonald's every time to steal some Wi-Fi, you know. And that was the beginning of my journey as a WordPress professional and as a web freelancer, basically. And you can see that I started with literally building the website in the van while we're touring. Once the band broke up, I kind of went into this kind of freelancer process, and I had like a really, really tiny room in the house that we were renting, and you can literally, the photographer can't walk back because it hit the wall, you know. That's how tiny this room was. And then I started recruiting a team and did a transition over to an agency. So we were 4 guys working from my home, and all the way up to my London agency right now, Ace Digital London, where we have 12 people. Some of them are in-house and some of them are spread around the world. And after that was kind of my natural evolution to scale further into a product. And this is where WP Feedback came about. And this is my focus at the moment. So this is where I'm at, but I'm sure that in a couple of years there's going to be a few more images here on this one. So, why am I telling you all of this? So basically, everything is everything. And this is something that I will hopefully kind of convey to you guys on this talk right now. So, when I was a musician, we were looking at this from the logic point of view, as well as the creativity, to make sure that there is a business to it, and there is merit to whatever we're doing. There is an audience, and there is an approach to the market. And the same thing when you're a developer. You know, development is logic, and the same thing as music is math. Development is logic, but you gotta have creativity in order for you to take this to the next level and create something amazing, right? And the same thing in business. It's all about logic, but the people that only look at the logic and forget about the creativity in business stay small, and they can't reach their own kind of comfort zone. They can't reach beyond their kind of limitations, personal limitations. So logic and creativity and everything is everything. Now, again, going back to this musician analogy, this is what a freelancer looks like, you know, in the terms of comparing it to being a musician. You can be a freelancer, and that's totally cool. And I enjoyed it, actually. I really enjoyed working one-on-one with people, but I wanted more. So a lot of musicians as well, they enjoy this process of just being on their own and doing their work, and that's totally fine. But if you want to become a rock star, you gotta scale. You gotta start having people around you. You gotta be able to approach more people with whatever you're doing. So what I'm gonna try and show you is how to move from here to becoming a rock star in your own right. Yeah. Little arrow there. Yeah. So the top level that we've seen on this initial kind of schema there is the plan, execute, and maintain. These are the top 3 things that we need to worry about when we're running a business, when we're scaling a business. And we're going to break this down right now. So we see it here, plan, execute, and maintain. Because we're in a new venue, all my notes are there, so far away from me, you know? What we'll do. So yeah, plan, execute, and maintain. We're going to focus on this part right now. So let's start with this, the passion, the focus, and the goal. So when it comes to the passion, niching down and finding your passion will make sure that you love waking up every morning. Anyone here has niched down their WordPress business? Working just with a specific type of clients? No? No one? Okay, so you guys gotta do it, and I'll tell you, yeah, we have one guy here. I know Simon is on the process of doing it as well, right? So by niching down, you're basically giving yourself focus, and you can allow yourself to find the passion in what you're doing. Because, you know, some of us will love doing like photography websites, right? Some of us will love doing, Paul, what is your niche? What was it?
Home services.
Services, right?
Home services.
Home services. And this is based on your personal history. This is where your passion and your personal advantage you can shine a light on it, right?
Absolutely.
So that's basically what I mean when I'm looking at this like this. The smaller your niche is, the more focused you are, and the better you can create a unique solution for your people, for your customers. Now, there's so many people out there that need websites. You don't need all of them, right? Like if I'm going to ask you, each one of you, how many websites have you built in the last few months? And I don't need to ask because I did a survey with 600 people. So we know that it's a handful, right? So why are we trying to reach thousands and millions of people without having a niche and trying to serve everyone, whereby choosing as the one thing that you love to do will give you the ability to talk to these people as an expert and as the one that actually knows what they're talking about, because you're the only one that is serving, I don't know, just wedding planners, right? The next thing is focus, which comes from that. So once you find your passion and you decide to niche down and serve this specific audience, that is going to give you focus that will allow you to basically not spread yourself too thin, doing too many things, serving too many people, trying to figure out different solutions for different people as they come to us. I'm sure that you all know what I'm talking about. And basically, the more you do, the less you achieve. And so I would like you to clear your schedule and avoid distractions. Just focus on that one thing that gives you the most pleasure in your business. Because if you don't love your business, it's not worth it, you know? Like it can easily become a nightmare. And I'm telling you this from personal experience. There's been times where I just didn't want to wake up in the morning and I just hated going to work just because I wasn't working with the clients that I wanted to work with. So by niching down to an audience that I enjoy working with and focusing just on that allows you to really expand and have just a better life. And finally, having a goal. So choosing a realistic goal is for accountants. And we, as creative people, we get to think big. And I would love for you guys to really think big. So whatever your goal is for the next year, you want to 10x it. It's not enough to just think about how I can get one more website next month, how I can get 2 more websites. Try to get 50 more websites. Then you're going to get 5 and you're going to be a lot better than just aiming at 1, right? So the thing about goals, and this is what I kind of discovered over time, is that it's so arbitrary, right? It's like the same people will choose, will start from the same starting point. One of them will decide to, I don't know, reach £1 million by the end of the year. The other guy will decide to reach 20,000 by the end of the year. What's the difference between one or the other? Just what they set up for themselves. And by assigning a high goal, you're probably going to try and figure out how to get there. So it gets you thinking, you know, it gets you kind of thinking in a larger direction, in a larger scale than what you're used to. That's what I mean by 10xing it. You don't have to do it as a real goal, but just even as an exercise. Whatever your goal is for the year, how can you do 10 times more? Right? So my goal was getting to I just wanted, when I started being a freelancer, I just wanted to get like a few clients, you know, when the band kind of broke up. And I wanted to basically get to £5,000 a month. That's a pretty decent goal for most people, right? But then I started thinking, okay, let's 10x this. How can I get £50,000 a month? And well, we just reached that. It took a few years. But it is possible. And if I wouldn't have looked at it like that, I would have still doing the £2,000 website, one website a month, and stayed at that level. Again, it's cool if this is what you want for yourself, and if this is your true goal. But if you want more, just think a lot bigger. It just happens that you're probably not going to reach your 100% within that thing. So if you set up to 100% and get to 80, it's a lot better than shooting at 10%, right? One thing that I like to remember when I'm thinking about setting up goals is the 4-minute mile. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this story, right? So Roger Bannister, when he finally broke the 1 minute, the 1 mile under 4 minutes, was a revelation for everyone. People thought that it wasn't possible. More than that, physicians and experts within the field said that it's literally impossible for the body. The body will break down if you run faster than 4 minutes per mile. And that was the case for literally thousands of years. But this guy wasn't having it. You know, he was like, okay, I'm going to go for it. And later on in one of the interviews when he was talking about this thing, he said that he actively thought of this and talked about this, and this was running through his head every single day. I'm going to break this, I'm going to break this, I'm going to master this. It's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And he just broke down this mental barrier that the entire society had for thousands of years just by doing it. And the most amazing thing happened after that. After he did it, a year after, another guy did it. And a year after that, a few other people did it. To the point that nowadays, running 1 mile under 4 minutes is something that every runner in a high school is kind of doing. Not much has changed, you know. We're still people. Nothing much has changed from that sense. Just our mindset and the way that we perceive reality and how we kind of look at things from our point of view. And we're going to go back to this perception of reality with some of the other points here. Cool, so we have the first thing planned. Now let's execute. If you're going to remember one thing from this thing, actually no, that's the second thing that I want you to remember. One thing is towards the end. The second thing is audience message channel and system. And this is a great way for obtaining every single goal that you might have, as long as you break it down to those 4 points. And to be honest, when my sister just had a baby recently, and I showed her how unknowingly she used only audience message channel system to get her husband to agree to have a baby. So it's really, really broad in the way that it can be used, because basically everything is everything, right? So let's see how that looks. So this is the second point here, and we're going to break down each one of these 4 points to see how that really applies. Cool, so audience. Focus on the people, not the job title. Finding your audience will help you clarify your message. So we talked about niching down, right? So usually when people do niche down, they focus on the job title. What does this guy do? What does that guy do? What is this industry that I want to be part of? I'm going to work with the real estate people. I'm going to work with charity people, right? So I want you to try and look at people, not as job titles, you know? Look at this room. We're all doing the same thing, but there's so many different types of people in this room. So by looking at the personality and trying to identify the type of person you want to work with is going to help you a lot better than shooting at a general web developer, WordPress professionals, right? So we just want to look into people's eyes and find that instant fit, that instant connection. And once you identify this, believe me, it's going to be so easy to find them because you know what to look for. Next up, we have our message. Our message is basically our offer. And so it's not about you. So we want to build websites, right? That's kind of that's the thing that we're doing here. But a website is usually not a result. It's not an end goal. It's a means to an end. So you want to think a little further beyond that. What is this about what you're doing, about what you're providing, that you can wrap up as the end solution? WordPress is just a tool, you know, and I like to compare this to guitar as well. You can buy the best guitar in the world, but if you don't know how to play it, it's not worth anything. So it's about finding that offer that speaks to that person specifically. It's not about you, it's about your chosen audience and what you can offer to get them to take action, right? To take action and that you can actually deliver. And that's important because you don't want to overpromise and you don't want to kind of do stuff that are beyond what you can actually supply. Over time, as you do more and more of these things, you can become more confident in what you're promising people. But a big mistake for a lot of us, a lot of professionals nowadays, because there's so much noise out there, we're trying to break beyond the noise, so we just promise, you know. And I've made these same mistakes again. Just came back and beat me in the ass, so it's not a good idea. You want to do what you believe you can deliver and what you know you can deliver. And once you reach that, then you want to think even further, what can I deliver more or less for a higher budget, right? The third thing is the channel. So we talked about the audience, we have our message, so we know who we're talking to, we know what we're going to tell them, but where are they? This is our channel, where you can easily find your audience. And that should be online. So finding prospects is always a challenge for all of us, right? This is something that is plaguing, I would say, even the kind of technician world. And because we basically just want to build websites. You know, we want to be creative, we want to do like beautiful stuff, and then we need to go and find clients and figure out how that works, and chase leads and do follow-ups and do all of this kind of stuff. But where do we find them? So everything, you can see that everything kind of combines together. Once you know who you want to reach, once we have the right audience, after we niche down, we know what we can offer to that specific audience. And when I said audience, I don't mean job title, I mean to that particular group of people that you can help. Where can you find them? And the reason why I say it should be online is because you don't want to be wandering around places doing like random talks to one by one. You want to have something that is systematic, that you can build and run as a machine. And we're going to see that machine on the next one when we're going to talk about the system. That's why I recommend that it be online. Now, what do I mean by should be online? Where? This could be either on Facebook or on, so you would find groups on Facebook where you can become like a leader, or even set up a group where you can become the leader of a specific group of people. I love using LinkedIn. I'm going to show you my machines right after this. LinkedIn, I think, is amazing for finding people. Or even Twitter, Instagram. I found that these are a little less effective when it comes to creating meaningful relationships with your potential audience. But that's also a possibility as long as they are there. So this also helps you focus, because right now what we're trying to do is we're going on Facebook and we're posting something on LinkedIn, and there's a little message going out on Twitter, right? And then you go to Instagram, oh my God, I haven't posted in a week on Instagram, so you gotta post there as well. And then there's the Slack group, and there's another Slack group, and it's just too much. So just choose one, focus, and find a channel, not based on where you wanna be, but where the people that you're after are. Finally, we have the system, which means that we're going to map out the entire process from step 1 to the end of it. And this is a way for you to follow it again and again and again while getting the same results now in the long run, because not everything is going to work straight out of the gate. So like every machine, you got to optimize it, you got to work on it to make it work properly. And what I like to think about is, you know, when we flick on the light here in this room, what happens? The light turns on, right? It seems so simple, but there's so much stuff going on, you know, like just to get the electricity into this, between this flicker and the light bulb, just going back to huge plants in huge wires going all over the country, massive, massive system, but they narrowed it down to a predictable system that you flick on the light and it's so natural, the light just turns on. But it's not. I hope I'm getting this across. It's such a massive achievement to do. So finding clients is a lot easier than creating electricity, right? And also as well, it said that Edison, it took him more than 1,000 failed tries to make it work. Right, so this is my machine, and I'm happy to share this with you guys, and I'm just going to walk you through quickly what's going on here. So as I said before, you want to map everything out. The way that I do my outreach is on LinkedIn, and we're basically starting from here, so I make sure that my profile looks awesome, but not for me, for my audience, because that's the message, that's what I'm offering. So based on this, once I have my profile set up properly, then we do a search, we find the right people, we make that connection, we set up the connection request plus a message, just a small basic message saying, hi, how are you? And once they connect with us, which gives us GDPR compliance, right? That's when we can thank them for the message and start looking deeper into their profile. So there's basically only 3 outcomes, and this is after running this thing for literally thousands of times. There's only 3 outcomes that can occur. It's either that you found the decision maker, or this guy already replied with interest, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, or they're not interested. So if you found the decision maker, you should have that message already set up for them. This is what I want to offer you. Are you into it or not? Either way, it's cool, because you know how to repeat that machine again and again. So you don't hang on the no, you know. You just find more people, but you know who you're looking for, so it's easy. And the second thing, reply with interest. If they did, we're going to push them down this process to actually get them to book. So we're sending them a link to a calendar, which then, once the booking is made and we got their email, we can keep communicating with them through email, with automations, of course. But also, there's a survey that just kind of helps us identify if this is if it's a good fit for us. People that don't fill out the survey don't get to talk to me. So that's the kind of the way for me to see if they're serious about what we want to do together. And I'm also asking them, do you have money? It's such a basic question, but most people don't ask this. And we're spending hours and hours with random people over the phone without even knowing if they can afford what we have to offer. So I literally ask them, do you have money to invest in your future? Do you have money to invest in your digital presence? And they will tell you. Basically, if they're interested in this, they will tell you. And if not, fine, it's not a good fit. Once they finish this, there's a thank you and a few messages that goes all the way to the call, and including reminders, so they do show up. And there's always going to be about 10% people that will not show up, and that's fine, it's their problem. So I wanted to talk to you about the reply with interest here. So how come there is decision maker and reply with interest? So what we're doing is the best way to score a client is basically to not tell them that you're selling them. So you just want to make that connection and build that relationship, and then if it clicks, then they will come to you. That's the best way, because if someone made that decision themselves consciously, you don't need to do much more than just get them to sign the contract. So that's why we have a leg here. A lot of people, and I'm sure, who is on LinkedIn? Can I see hands? Yeah? That's right. So in the past week, how many messages have you gotten in the connection request that already did like a full-on sales pitch, that told you like, this is what I do consulting for this guy, blah, 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 all this kind of crap, right? Loads. And boom, delete. Why? Because I don't know this guy. Who is this? It's just coming into my space. But the connection has to be just personal. It's not about shouting what you can do. It's just about connecting with that person. But our profile, as we've seen on step 1, is already designed for this particular audience. So if you know who your audience is and your messaging is proper, they will go to your profile, they will see what you're doing, and they're like, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for. So that's why they come to you with interest. Even after just saying, hi, thanks for connecting. They're going to check out the profile and come back to you. And that's perfect. That's why we have this leg. And if they haven't, that's when we make the offer. It's because we still want to get the deal. Right, I think that kind of sums us this guy. Cool, so this is pretty important. If we want to execute this process, and I would even expand this and say that it's the entire discussion that we've done today, if we want to execute it properly, and in order for it to work, we want to look at this like a 4-digit combination lock. So the way that I see it, like the one that we have on our bike, we can have 10,000 potential outcomes to a 4-digit combination lock. 10,000, which is insane. But if one of the things is not right, so you can have 3 of them right, but just one of them not right, the whole thing doesn't work. And usually that's when people stop trying. They try a few times, they didn't crack the lock, and that's it, they're out of the game. But just understanding that there are 10,000 possibilities can give you so much kind of leeway, and just understanding that it's fine, just going to try again. If I did 5 tries, I have 9,995 more tries to do before I can give up. So that's kind of the concept of trying to keep iterating, keep changing, and you want to change just one number at a time to see what works. Because if you're going to change the entire thing, there's no way to track this. So if it doesn't work, you want to try maybe refining the message. Just a little bit, changing it here and changing it there, seeing if that unlocks the lock. If that doesn't work, maybe, and you know that your message is right, maybe trying another channel. Maybe LinkedIn is not the right place. Maybe the audience is not there, maybe the system is not right. But you want to try small stuff all the time. It's what we call it growth hacking, A/B testing, right? So only once these 4 are aligned, that's when magical things start to happen. And the lock is unlocked. I don't have my notes. Right, so that's now we're at the final one, maintaining. So when you're growing the business, we saw how to plan this, we saw how to execute. Now we need to maintain this. We have clients coming in. We need to serve them. We need to make sure that they're happy. And especially with the agency model, the freelancer model, it's very hard to keep the client happy because the level of responsibility that you have around their project and around their business is very, very high compared to any other business model that is out there. They expect a lot more from you, even if they don't pay a lot, right? Because there is that instant connection. I see people doing yes, right? So let's talk about the 4 points here. Workday of the king or the queen, right? And then we have us versus clients, which is the mindset and the communications of working with clients specifically. Building to sell, but don't. So an ideal situation is where you can literally sell your business today, but you decide not to because it's so awesome. And then finally, the power of the community, which Dan talked about before, but I'm going to go back to this a little more. Right, so this is our last branch of this amazing tree here. Well, the workday of the king. So your day is your most precious resource. There isn't something more precious than your day. Nothing in this world is more precious than the time that you're investing into your own business, into your own personal life, into whatever that you want to do. This just flies by, So, because it's the most precious resource that we have, we want to maximize its use by focusing on tasks that actually move the needle, not on support tickets. not on doing another tweet on Twitter. We want to see the stuff that actually that make an impact on our life, make an impact on our business. And you want to find these small things that you can do that seem small but create a large effect. These are the ones that you want to focus on and do more of. Us versus client, mindset and communications. So, we talked about the perception of reality. And this is so important, and I think that this was one of the toughest things for me to accept. As I was scaling up within my own agency, and the more clients we were serving, the more people I had to bring on board. This is natural when you're basically with this model, with the agency model. But profitability started declining, and I wasn't having it. Right? I wanted to see why. Why am I less profitable than when I was even a freelancer at some point? So I really investigated into what is the cause of this and where is the leak? Where are the leaks? And to my surprise, it was always the same thing. Client communications. Client communications is the biggest time waster of our ecosystem. And it's insane. It's insane the way that we're handling these things right now. Yeah, seriously, people smiling around this thing. So we live in a different reality than our clients. What we see is not what they see. And we can't force our digital ways on our clients. We must understand and create our processes based on their mindset, not necessarily ours. And I'll explain to you what I mean. So let's say we want to get content. There's three basic processes in every website. You need to request the content, you need to approve the designs, you need to provide support. These are the three basic processes of running a successful project. Getting content from clients is a nightmare, right? They don't know what you want from them. They have no idea how to deliver it in a proper way, and it's mostly it just breaks down on miscommunications and what you need from them, how they can deliver this to you. And I'm talking about non-digital people. So if you have some techie working on the other side, that's usually pretty fine, pretty smooth, right? Pretty smooth sailing. But so what is our solution? We create huge Word documents or Google Docs, with like explanations or lines, or you just need to put it here, you just need to put it there. But then the client that is not a digital person opens this thing and he sees a 40-page document, that's it, is gone. Or we do like a spreadsheet. So we get them into a spreadsheet with like 100 rows. Each one is about a certain point within a page. We break it down to like, okay, the first 20 rows are the home page, then the next 20 rows are the about page, and then, done, right, out of the game. Or we try to use like SaaS solutions. So we get them on Basecamp, or we get them on Trello, or we do all these kind of other tools where we expect them to learn an interface that is usually geared towards us. That's what I mean. It's not about us. It's about getting this stuff done from them. They need to give this to us in a way that is logical to their reality. And what I like to say is that when we look at a screen, when we look at a website, we see code, we see design, we see the colors, we see the color scheme, we see padding, we see margins, we see the address line that is usually hidden from their view, right? They just don't realize it's there. We see the browser around it, we see the matrix. And they just see a screen. That's it. That's all they see. They don't see anything beyond this thing. And we expect them to see these things, but it's just not their reality. So let's start from that point of view. And this is where I'm going to do a bit of a sales pitch as well myself. Alright, communication tool for WP pros. So as I was researching this problem for my own business, I figured out that it makes no sense the way we all are doing this, and we tried everything within my agency. So what we did is we looked at it, we flipped it, and we looked at this from the client point of view. How can they give us what we want in the most intuitive way so they don't need to think about it? And what we came up with is basically the ideal way is physical meetings. They stand next to you, they point at the screen, and they tell you, no, this is not good, change this. Yes, this is awesome, change this. No, I need my text here. Write this down, this needs to have a bit of text in there. Right? Just point and say. And that's what they did. We created a system that allows them to literally click and say within their live website. So that is WP feedback, and if you haven't heard of this, this is basically what it does. They click the plus icon, choose any element within the live website, either in the front or in the back end within the WordPress admin, and they can just leave a message, ask you a question, give you content for different stuff, approve designs, tell you that this image is on top of this thing if you haven't noticed. It also will collect all of the different stuff that we expect them to know about, but they have no idea. So how many of you asked, got a question from a client that said, okay, which browser are you using? Right? And the answer is Windows. So they have no idea what we're talking about. So this is going to do it on its own. It's going to collect the screen size that they're on, so you know which device they're on, so you know what kind of orientation it was working on. It's going to collect their browser version. It will allow them to click in one click and put in a screenshot, and it's basically as intuitive as the tools that they're already using. From my point of view, the only two things that non-technical clients or non-technical people are familiar with online are their inbox and Facebook. That's it. And that is what I'm looking at, you know? So this is how we built this thing. And you can see it's really influenced by like native apps that every one of them is using. So that ideally, you don't even want to train them, you just want them to use it. Right? And pitch. Right. So next one is build to sell, but don't. All do. It's up to you. You know, but having a business that is ready to be sold at any given moment is going to give you quality of life. Because it means that you are not the center of the business. And this is something that we all fall into, you know, like because again, we're creative people. We want to make sure that things are happening in the same way that we want them to happen. And we're a bit of a lot of us are a little control freaks as well, right? Because it's our baby. It's literally our baby. We built it from nothing and we grew this to whatever it is at this point. And no one knows better than me. I know what's going to happen and I know how to run this thing better than anyone else. And you're probably right, but it's your fault that it's like that. So the way to do it is to just write it down and pass it on. Write it down and pass it on. That's what a proper business does. That's why Cloudflare looks like this. And we are not there yet. So if you're ready to be sold at any given moment, you have a well-functioning business that is not centered around the founder. It gives the team power to make decisions while note down every single process. So what I like to do is I have a little notebook next to my desk. And whenever I do something once, it goes on the notebook. That's it. I don't need to do it more than once for it to go on there. If it happened once, it goes on there. And then I build the process and it goes, and we know how to do it again and again and again and again and again. If I'm not there, if I am there, it doesn't matter. Next up, the power of the community. And this is amazing. So, first of all, you're already a step up above the rest because you're here. And this is really commendable, and thank you for them, and thank you for the guys that actually arranged these things for us. For years, I wasn't appreciating this. I wasn't showing up, and I wasn't really participating in this incredible, incredible resource that we all have in front of us. But the WordPress community is like no other. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist anywhere else, and this is incredible. Like throughout the years, we've worked with with loads of clients, and every time we're like the way that we do this is we don't only do the website. We launch we launch the website, but we also do we have them get to the market. So we know who their audiences are. We know what the messages. We did this stuff with our clients, and the idea is that once you experience a different niche. Or a different kind of audience, you see how their industry works. And there is nothing like the WordPress community in the world. I've never seen anything like that. So value it, appreciate it, and participate in it, because this is just incredible. It's just unbelievable. Right, so conclusion. So actually this is something that I added after the WordCamp in UP. So there are basically 3 steps to growing the WordPress business. And some people try to jump between the steps and it doesn't work. you wouldn't, and we've heard the stories from the founders of the biggest companies over there. You have to go through these steps in order for the business to actually be sustainable. And I'm going to briefly tell you why, because I see Dan is looking at you from there. Right, so freelancer. The freelancer is kind of an intro to the industry. You kind of learn how to do things, and you kind of learn how to, you basically get the hang of the technicality of managing websites and working with websites and so on. But you also work with clients on a smaller scale, which is great for understanding your position in that relationship, that kind of business-client relationship. It's awesome if you kind of understand it. This is something that you want to kind of look into. Then, once you try to scale, and also, like I said, in terms of the goals, we can't see beyond what we believe is true. So it doesn't really matter all the stuff that I'm going to tell you here. If you can't believe that it's true, it's just going to go in from one ear and go out the other one. And that's just natural. That's how it works. And that's why you can't go from zilch to agency. You know, because you can't imagine doing 500,000 a year. You can't imagine doing $1 million pounds a year. It's not in our reality, at least when we start off. But when we get the taste of blood, you know, we want more. So that's kind of the evolution there. Once you get to the agency, you manage clients on a larger scale. You do all of these kind of high-level communications with the clients and creating products at a rapid pace. And I think that's the source of it. Being an agency, you're doing products 3 times a month, 5 times a month, 10 times a month. You know, you're just creating all of these kind of things, so you can figure out what works, what doesn't work. You will be able to identify what is a good product market fit for a specific industry or not, because you're doing it in such a higher scale that you'll see the matrix again from this point. And then finally, product. So this is the way to go big. The agency model has its advantages, but it also has this glass ceiling that a lot of people are talking about. And there is a way to go, some people have broken this glass ceiling, but it's a huge uphill battle to go beyond the 20,000 per month or 30,000 per month. Really, really, really hard to go past this thing. And the way that everyone has done it within our ecosystem is just to move, pivot away and just do product. But you already know how to serve clients in a high level. You already know how to create products because you've done it in 5 times, 10 times a month. You already know how to manage a team, how to run a business, how to work with the accountant, all of these kind of things. So the people that try to jump from here to here remain a one-man show. So we have a bunch of people like this, like theme developers or plugin developers. It's just like one guy sitting at home doing his stuff. He's a freelancer basically, but he has a product because he hasn't gone through this evolution. Now, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Okay, now I said at the beginning that I'm going to close with the one thing that actually matters, or actually the 2 things that matter, and this is, out of everything that I said today, just if you took a picture of my LinkedIn machine, right? That's a whole lot of, like, it's just noise. This is what matters. This is the only thing that matters. You want to find prospects, recruit clients, and repeat. Find more prospects, and recruit more clients, and repeat, and repeat, and repeat, and repeat. This is the only way to grow. Now, I'm going to leave you with this. How many strategy calls have you done in the past 7 days if you want to grow? That we're doing this thing. Thank you!
Thank you. We do have time for one very quick question because I'm probably not running out of time.
Yes, sorry.
But yeah, do we have any questions at all? And we will be going into a quick break afterwards. So if that one question doesn't cover what you have, maybe you can answer in the break or even afterwards.
Yes.
So, do we have any questions? Stunned all into silence.
Yeah.
One in the back there.
No. It's not cheap either, but we're seeing that it saves 3 hours per team member per week by using this. And more than that, it reduces project completion time by 2 weeks just by using one tool. It's crazy.
It's good to see the quality products coming into our marketplace that shouldn't be free or low cost. It's actually that we should be purchasing quality products. Okay, well, a big thank you again. That round of applause. So we're just going to take a very quick break now, about 5 minutes maximum. There is some things left, there are some drinks, the bathroom's that end. We will be back here in 5 minutes. Okay, we are now ready to get started, so you could grab your seats. Right, I would like to introduce you to Josh Stopper. Josh is the lead developer for Whole Grain Digital. So we've got Whole Grain representing us this evening. Josh is going to be talking to us. The title of his talk has evolved somewhat, shall we say. His title this evening is Code is Poetry. We're going to be talking about code standards.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, good bad. So, please, Josh, a big round of applause.
Thank you, Jane. My name is Josh Stopper. My second talk at this present WordPress event. I'm still a bit nervous, but hopefully I'll do okay. Code is poetry. It's quite an evocative phrase. It's been plastered to the bottom of WordPress.org for the last few years. It was probably much more prevalent at some point in time. But when I sat down to, I suppose, write this talk after I came up with the changed title, I tried finding the definition of what it meant, because I didn't know what it meant to myself as a programmer, but just in general as well. So, Launchard in 2015 wrote an article on what it meant to them, and they came up with this. Every poem is a piece of art. It has a meaning of its own. Don't do that, Vito. This happened last time. I don't know if that's going to keep happening. The screen's on, but... No, it's not even that. There's a room full of tech people who should be able to work. So, let's start again. Every poem is a piece of art. It has a meaning of its own. Every word creates a flow of thoughts. Coding is not different. Every line of code rests in harmony with the others. Each line makes way for the next, together giving shape to a thought that is appealing and beautiful. What I think they're getting at here is that programming is not so different from poetry. Creativity, imagination, inventiveness. WordPress is about page. The average WordPress user simply wants to be able to write without problems or interruption. It's our duty as developers to make smart design decisions and avoid putting the weight of technical choices on our end users. In terms of what I think we should take away from these two quotes from Launchard and WordPress, is that every line of code rests in harmony with the others, and avoid putting the weight of technical choices on our end users. I would now like to introduce you to someone. His name is Douglas Crockford. He's been in the web industry for quite some time. He's currently, or has been for a long time, also involved in JavaScript. He created JSON, JSLint, JSMin. He's the senior developer at PayPal. You might know a thing or two. Douglas released a book called JavaScript, The Good Parts. It was published in 2008. As we can see in the picture, we have a definitive guide of JavaScript, and then the good parts. I think this is true, though, of programming language we have. But an excerpt from the book is that it scrapes away the bad features to reveal a subset that's more reliable, readable, maintainable than the language as a whole. A subset that you can use to create truly extensible and efficient code. But what is Douglas getting at? Reliability, the quality of being trustworthy or of performing consistently well. Readability, the quality of being easy or enjoyable to read. Maintainability is the ease with which a product can be managed in order to correct defects or their cause. Extensibility, being designed to allow the addition or capabilities of new functionality. And efficiency, being able to accomplish something with ease and minimal waste of effort. So how do we go about achieving all of this? In programming we have, I suppose, various different ways of approaching problems. But one of the two ways that I suppose are quite similar, but quite different, is functional and procedural programming. Functional programming is the idea that if we have an input, and if we always give the same input, we'll always have the same output. There's no side effects. It behaves as it should every time. We can test this. Whereas procedural programming is a set of instructions. It makes no assumptions about what something is or what it shouldn't. It's just a set of instructions to follow. So, what is a side effect? The Oxford Dictionary defines it as a secondary, typically undesirable effect of a drug or medical treatment. I suppose in programming it's not so different. When a function has no side effects, we can execute it at any time. It will always return the same result, given the same input. Whereas, if you had side effects, a function can be unpredictable, depending on the state of the system. The system could have other information than it had last time it was run. So, how do we go about controlling side effects in WordPress? I suppose we can start with what the side effects in WordPress are. WordPress has been around for a long time, and when it was first started, we didn't have access to a lot of the programming features we now have in modern PHP. So as a result, we relied on a lot of globals. So globals in WordPress are the WP&UP object, ways to interact with the database. $post, where the current piece or the current blog post, the page, the comment that we're looking at is stored. And $posts, this is on archive pages or category pages, but this stores what information we're currently displaying on the page. Global variables make it hard to rationalize about how something works. As in procedural programming, it could have like a set of instructions that are run, but it might be different the next time because there might be a global variable that is different. So, what do we need to do? We need to refactor our code and implement a cleaner architecture. This could involve putting all of the globals, if we do modify them, or working with them in one place. It could be not using them at all, which is the optimal solution. Pre-get posts. Game of Thrones references are always good fun, but pre-get posts allows us to modify the global variables of WordPress before they've actually run. So in this sense, it's not good or bad, it just allows you to change things. The problem with it though is that it can be extremely dangerous. Pre-get posts functions in the admin area of WordPress, and it also operates on the front end of WordPress. Quite recently, we had a scenario where we needed to use pre-get posts to make a change. The change was that we wanted to have two less blog posts on the first blog post page, and then on all the other pages, 2 more. So we needed to create that offset, and that needed to flow on throughout all of the pagination as well. Unfortunately, we got some of the logic wrong. We didn't notice immediately, and for the next few weeks, we ended up chasing our own tail in finding all of these little side effects that had occurred. So, as I've said here, it can be very dangerous. Bugs don't present themselves straight away, and it can manifest in weird ways, such as counts, such as pages not existing when they should. query posts, WP query, get posts. WordPress has given us 3 different ways to query the database, but they're not all equal. Query posts relies on global variables, and what happens is that when we use query posts, it will overwrite them, but it doesn't give us a way to put them back to what they were originally. So as we're working with the code, we have no clue what it was originally and no way to get back there. So, don't use it. The other side effect of query posts is that it reruns the SQL queries. And now in terms of performance, this isn't great. It ignores all of the caching that WordPress has built in to help you do this stuff. So, not much fun. WP query and get posts. WP query is a class that allows us to define a lot of metrics that we'll query the database with. It has all of the caching. It has no side effects, which is great. And it also allows us to optimize these queries so they can be run a little bit faster. Get posts is, I suppose, a derivative of that. It uses WP query under the hood, but it doesn't give you as much flexibility. So depending on the scenario, whether or not you want it, maybe you want that control, choose one of these 2. These are the functional programming approaches. Set up post data and usage and nesting. Now, this is, I suppose, a little nuance within set up post data, but you can't call it multiple times in a nested context. So, in this diagram here, we start off by getting the latest 5 blog posts. Now, this is already probably going to be on a page. So, when we're talking about the globals again, $post is already going to have information about the page we're on. It'll have the title, it'll have the content, it'll have the excerpt, the date it was published, etc. So, we'll start off by getting the latest 5 blog posts. We loop over each of those blog posts. We then set up the blog post that we're currently working as the new global. That way we can use things like the title to get the title of that new blog post. We can use the content. But let's say we wanted to get 5 also related blog posts to this blog post. We then make a query for 5 more blog posts, we loop over them, and then we set up post data again so that we can use the title and the content. And normally when we're done using, I suppose, a piece of content, we want to reset WordPress back to its original state. And that's happening on line 26. But $post doesn't keep track of where you've been throughout the entire history. It's going to go right back to the start. So whatever context you thought you were in is now completely gone. So if you were to say, on line 29, call the title, you're not going to get the blog post that you set up on line 11, the latest 5 that you queried. It's going to go right back to the page that you were working on. Once again, we were working with something like this. We were using it to create, I suppose, creative pages that would help direct your users to, I suppose, a more desirable action rather than leaving the site. We weren't aware that this is how it behaved at the time, so we were calling it in a nested context, and we were just getting data we didn't expect. We didn't know what to do with it, so we spent some time debugging, and now we know why. Keeping it dry. Dry is the concept of don't repeat yourself. So this kind of extends on top of the idea of global variables and ways to manage it. So when we want to keep things dry, we want to make sure that we're not doing the same thing over and over. One of the functions that WordPress gives us to allow us to reuse content in different places is getTemplatePart. GetTemplatePart accepts 2 parameters. The first one being the path to a page or a PHP file that you want to work with, and the second parameter that it takes is almost a modifier of that path. It allows you to, for example, have a blog post page and then have a page that's set up for audio, video, a Twitter feed, something like that. I don't really think that this is the best utilization of that second parameter. So as a solution to, I suppose, keeping it dry, we've created a render function. Now, the first one behaves exactly like the first part of getTemplatePart. It takes a path. This is to a PHP file. And then the second parameter is array. An array could be a string, it could be an integer, anything that you want to give it. But the idea is that the information you put in that second parameter will be passed through to that component that you drag in. And if you write that component without any understanding of its context, not working with global variables, not making calls to WordPress such as the content, the title, you can reuse this component in any place you want. It's going to behave the exact same way. It's not going to change. It's beautiful. Keeping it simple. So, WordPress's greatest strength, and one of its greatest weaknesses as well, is the plugin community. There's probably 60,000 plugins at least by now that you can work with. There's probably more getting added every day. Over the last few months, the WordPress core team has done a great job in implementing, I suppose, methods of stopping plugins from taking down your website. When we used to activate a plugin in the past, we'd get the white screen of death. Not much fun. But now, if you go to activate a plugin and it causes some errors, it will tell you about it. It will stop the actions in its path and take you back to where you were before. So, once again, plugins are good, plugins can be evil. When working with plugins, try to do the expected with them. What I mean by that is they might offer you hundreds of settings to play with, but unless you really need to change them, don't do it. Advanced Custom Fields by Elliott Conduct. It's a great plugin that allows us to customize the admin area to do exactly what we want, but it also offers millions of ways to control the data that it returns to you. If you don't have a need for changing it, leave it as it is. It's going to have the effect of when another developer comes onto the team, that it's going to behave how they expect it to. And when you add in front-end caching that you get with a lot of hosts, any performance gain that you would have gained by reducing the amount of data that's returned by ACF, it's negligible, it doesn't matter. Control the divide. A lot of WordPress plugins like to operate on two sides. They do the settings in the back end, and then they also implement code on the front end. An example could be a carousel that allows you to add new slides in the back end, allows you to add text over the top, and then on the front end it will drop that in for you and implement it. There's not much work going on there for you, but the problem can be that when it updates, it might no longer be operating or displaying as you expect. So when we say control the divide, we mean try to separate what your plugins are doing. They're either going to do one of two things: help you manage data in the back end, or help you display something on the front end. Don't override plugin templates. Now, this is an opinionated one. It's just, I suppose, something that I've learnt along the way that helps me make more maintainable sites that have less kind of issues in the long term. But plugins such as BuddyPress, WooCommerce, BBPress, they have templates that come with the plugin. They allow you to take those templates, copy them into your theme, and then overwrite them. The problem with that can be, though, is that when that plugin gets updated, your theme is now out of date. Maybe they implemented some new functionality. Maybe they deprecated some functionality. That's even worse. Your website now stops working. So if you need to change something that one of these plugins is doing that implements a template, try to work with the functions and the filters that they give you. They often allow you to jump in the middle of them and, I suppose, add what you need or take pieces out. CSS. Yeah, I enjoy Peter playing with these blinds here. We have these blinds at home, they're great. This is probably the relationship a lot of people have with CSS. It can be frustrating. And I suppose one of the reasons for this can be is that CSS is really nothing more than controlling side effects. The first C stands for cascade, which means anything that you implement at a top level is going to go down and keep going. So at some point, you just might say, I want this text to be smaller, I want a different color. But then really, you're just adding a different side effect for a different area. So when we're writing CSS, really we want to come up with ways that help us manage those side effects so that they don't get out of control. I suppose there's plenty of ways we can do this. OO CSS, BEM, IT CSS, Atomic CSS, CSS and JS. it doesn't end. There's so many different methodologies, but the main idea is that you pick one and you stick to it. You don't try and chop and change between different ones because it will result in code that doesn't really make sense. Harry Roberts, if you haven't heard of him, he's a CSS kind of developer, I'd say. He's more of a consultant. He'll come in and teach your team how to write really good code. He'll help you audit. Look him up. Just two more things. I don't always write good code, but when I do, I control the side effects. I utilize functional programming. I keep it dry. I make reusable components. I don't do the same thing multiple times. I keep it simple. If in doubt, leave it out. And the last thing. I was told last time I gave this talk to end with a poem or something like that. No code runs faster than no code. No code has fewer bugs than no code. No code uses less memory than no code. No code is easier to understand than no code. That's a bit meta. Thank you.
We do have time for some questions, if we have any at all.
Thanks for the talk. So I have a question on the templates. You mentioned don't override the templates, right?
Sure.
So this goes against flexibility that they offer, like WooCommerce. I've used it for quite a while and they always provide fallbacks. Why wouldn't you be like kind of against using those templates? Because I would say any sane plugin developer will make sure that even if they update the plugin, it won't break.
Sure, I suppose that's why part of my talk I prefaced it with this is a massive opinion of mine. I suppose one of the events where that went very wrong was WooCommerce from 2 to WooCommerce 3. It was notorious, it broke everyone's website who had implemented, I suppose, custom templates on top of it. I suppose when I say don't copy them, maybe it's that don't copy them directly. You can create your own, but don't try and take what they give you wholesale and just change 1 or 2 lines of it, because there probably is a way to achieve what you want to without actually doing that. The filters and hooks available to us are quite powerful.
Also, you're saying that when there are very small things, it's better to just understand copying the whole. If it's a big file and you want to change just a small thing, you can use hooks for that.
Yeah,
without copying the template. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. That's what hooks are there for. One of the things I'm working on at the moment, Gravity Forms is a great form plugin for WordPress. It's very powerful, but it comes with a lot of rigidity with it. So I'm rewriting the front end in a manner that we can distribute as a plugin. We can turn off the markup as we want, add our own markup in. But it's that level of control that we need to get over it. I suppose it's also working with your designers. If there is some little change that will get it across the line rather than having to make a big change to it. Yeah, that's what I'd go with. It's not a hard and fast rule. It's just something that I've found can introduce problems along the way.
Thank sense. Thank you. I think there was another question from Tim.
What's the best local development environment you come across?
Local development environments. They're evolving daily, kind of like the JavaScript community. The one I was just saying that they're evolving daily like the JavaScript community. The current development I use at the moment is Laravel Valet and the WP&UP extension to Laravel Valet. So for those of you on a Mac and Linux machines, it extends to opening up the terminal and typing WP new whatever you want your website to be. Before that, I was using local by Flywheel. Before that, I think I was using a custom-baked, I suppose, PHP, MySQL, using Brew on my Mac. Before that, SAM. I suppose it's just constantly evolving.
For those of us keeping an eye on the news, I should have seen WP Engine and Flywheel coming together. So it's going to be interesting to see how WP Engine's dev kit, Flywheel's local by Flywheel, 2 local environments. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Any other questions at all? Well, Joshua, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Excellent. I hope you'll agree, 2 fantastic speakers this evening, 2 very different subject matters. I just want to say a big thank you to both Josh and Vito for giving up your time this evening, coming here and sharing your expertise with us. So please do give both a big round of applause. Okay, we're just going to wrap up quickly now. I just want to say a very quick thank you to our sponsors before we close up. Green Geek, SiteGround, WP Engine, Peleg and WeGot. If it wasn't for these companies, then we wouldn't be here this evening doing what we're doing, having the drinks, the food. So please do check out the WP&UP Twitter account. There's a couple of tweets that have gone out thanking these companies. We'd appreciate any likes and retweets to help support that. I mention this every month, wp.ldn.uk/feedback. We're particularly interested tonight in your thoughts, experiences of this venue. And please, I know I ask this, I mention this most months, but do please come and have a chat with either myself, Dan or Paul, who's here, Paul back there, or myself, and let us know what you think of this venue. Because we've obviously moved in here, we want to make sure that it's right. We clearly have the space to grow, which is fantastic. But of course there are many, many other elements to it. So we'd love to hear what you think of it. Feel free to have a chat with one of us immediately afterwards, or we'll go to the social. If you're able to join us, I'd love to hear from you. So the next event will be the 25th of July. So again, we're always the last Thursday of the month. Again, hope to see you all there. Hope you can join us. We have a couple of fantastic speakers lined up again for this one. There's some questions about what we do going forward around the sessions, the styles. Do we continue doing talks as we've done tonight? Do we start introducing workshops? Do we start introducing mini contributor days, for example? Again, we'd love to hear your thoughts. If there's anything that you would like to see happen on these events, we've got this space. We've got this time, we've got this community, so let's make the most of it. So if you do have any thoughts, again, do come have a chat with one of us. I mentioned the social. Things have changed a little bit, unfortunately, tonight. We were unaware, we planned to go to the Slug and Lettuce, which was literally out the door and we're pretty much there. Unfortunately, both the Slug and Lettuce and the All Bar One have been booked out entirely by Nando's tonight. Believe it or not. So unfortunately we've had to at the last second scramble to try and find an alternative place. We did of course have to go and test it before we got there, so we went over to the Camel and Artichoke. Lovely place, they reserved us a spot over there, so if you can join us we're going to head over. It's a little bit of a snake to get there. If you're not familiar, I suggest we kind of head together, because there's a fantastic, what's the name of the arch? Graffiti. So, the graffiti, what's the, leak arches, is it? Leech arches. If street art is of any interest to you and you've never been down there, you will absolutely love it. So yeah, we're going to get there shortly. I hope you will join us. Again, I just want to say a big thank you to all of you for making it this evening, coming here, being part of this. If it wasn't for you, the community, then we wouldn't be here doing what we're doing right now. So thank you all. Please do help yourself on to some swag if there's any left over there. And let's continue the conversations. Hope to see you all again next month. Thank you.